Welcome to Bad Breaking News episode 76. Today we'll be talking about today we'll be talking about once again we'll be talking about my favorite actually I know what we're going to be talking about, matches that I think if you're not a fan of wrestling you should watch to make you a fan. Here's some of the matches that I recommend if you are not a wrestling fan. So, let's begin with the very first one. Let's start with SummerSlam 2022, the Usos versus the Street Profits, and a special guest referee match with Jeff Jarrett as the referee, because I think that match was very good. And the same vein, you should also watch the Street Profits versus the Usos in a normal match of Money in the Bank, because it's just a very good match. So another match you should watch is Roman Reigns versus Cesaro for the Universal Championship. That's a very good title match, and I definitely recommend it. Just to get you started with wrestling, I don't want you to start watching stipulation matches yet. So Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns, it's a good enough match to get you invested in what you could expect from them mostly. In the same vein, if you want to start watching the older stuff and then getting to the newer stuff, Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania whatever for the Intercontinental Championship and WWE Championship will be the way to go. The next place you should go is Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels in the classic Iron Man match at WrestleMania. I believe that might have been at WrestleMania. In the same vein, Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 39? Not 39. It could have been 37, I believe. 37 or 38. It's one of those two. And for the WWE Championship, it was a very special moment. I am not telling you how these matches ended, just because I'm recommending these matches. Another good tag team match has to be Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa versus the Usos. The Usos have a lot of good matches. And also the New Day versus the Usos inside Hell in the Cell in 2017. In addition to that, you should watch Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Bryan versus Daniel Bryan versus I know who I'm looking for here. Daniel Bryan inside the Elimination Chamber Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at Edge as the guest enforcer. That was pretty good. Now let's get into now once you watch these, you should start getting into stipulation matches. So the first one we're going to talk about is Extreme Rules matches. So the best way you could start with this is definitely watch Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules 2022. And then if you want to go one step further, you could I would also recommend that's one of the best Extreme Rules matches. Actually, no. If you one of the best Extreme Rules matches was actually one I would really recommend is we're not just doing Extreme Rules, we're doing Extreme Match types too. So Kevin Owens versus the Judgment Day in a Steel City street fight was a good match. It has blood, it has everything. So if you want to watch an extreme match type, this is the way to go. The good old-fashioned Donnybrook between the Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch versus Imperium, Gunther, Giovanni Vinci, and Ludwig Kaiser. It was a great match, and I totally recommend it if you want to getting into it. Edge versus Finn Balor, I Quit match. Now, this is a good one if you're first getting into it, because it introduces you into more of the current day. And if you want to watch something a little bit older, you could watch Mankind versus The Rock and their classic I Quit match. In the same vein, you should also watch this is just one of my favorite. This is personally one of my favorites. Tribal Combat, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, SummerSlam 2023. If you're getting into wrestling, this is obviously the one to watch. I wouldn't recommend it for someone who is, obviously already a fan and watch it because they know somewhat of what the product is already. But if you are interested in learning about the product, I think these are the matches to go for the Extreme. Now, ladder matches, I would definitely say some of the ladder matches you should be watching are the Money in the Bank ladder match from 2023, because it's like 6 men, more interesting. So if you're getting interested into wrestling or you want to get interested in it, just watch that. And the same interesting thing, you should be able to you should also watch Money in the Bank. You should still watch no, not Money in the Bank. You should also watch the first ladder match, Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels in WrestleMania 9 or 10, maybe 11 or 12, maybe around 11 or 12 actually. So somewhere around that period, you should start watching some of the stuff. And then in the same vein, not a ladder match, but the War Games match between the Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Sikoa, the Usos, and Sami Zayn versus the Brawling Brutes. You know who those are because I mentioned them, and Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens in the War Games match. If you're just getting into it, I would also recommend that match. Or if you're just wanting to get into it but you don't know where to start. So, that is what I recommend. You don't have to listen to my recommendations, but I would suggest doing so if you're interested in or wanted to get interested into something, I would recommend these matches. Goodbye.